Hello, hello. It's time for Tuesday Talks. John Robinson here, your host, and we are live. It is Tuesday, and there's something special going on today. Can't remember exactly what it is. Oh, yeah, it's tax day. So hopefully your taxes are done and you are ready to go. Or hopefully, if you haven't done that, then you've submitted your, what do they call it, your extension. Just kind of curious how many people love filing extensions. That's as opposed to actually filing on time. So anyway, over here at the space that we're meeting at on Thursday night. So you guys know this space over here in the Beaverton Hillsboro area. There's a little bit of background noise today. But if you guys are joining me today, I'd love to see where you're joining me from. We always start off by saying where are you coming, where are you watching from? If you're in Oregon, what area are you in? And if you are in Idaho, what area are you in? And then if you can, just let us know if you're watching from YouTube. So drop it in the comments. Say, hey, I'm watching from Boise, Idaho on YouTube, or I'm watching in Beaverton on the live stream. We actually are live streaming right now on Instagram. So if I've got any Instagram followers out there, I'd love to hear from you guys. It's Tuesday. It's Tuesday Talks. This is what we do every Tuesday. And what we do this for is a couple of different reasons. Number one, just to check in. It's no secret that pretty much everybody that is watching something like this, you guys are here because of an interest in real estate in some way, shape, or form. You have an interest in real estate. Josh is jumping on here. Josh says my audio is kind of bad. So I don't know. How bad is it, Tyler? You guys let me know. I know we had some background noise there in a minute, but can you guys hear me better there? Is that better? Can you hear me now? So, boy, I don't know. I look like I haven't shaved in a day, which I haven't. So it's pretty visible today. Anyway, if you're here watching on these Tuesday Talks, typically you're here because you're obviously in the real estate space. You're interested in real estate investing. And thanks, Tyler. Tyler says he hears me good. So, Josh, I don't know if it was just a minute ago with the group of people that walked through, but Tyler says he could hear me just fine. So, all right. But yeah, you guys, if you're here in the Portland area, then I hope that we're going to see you on Thursday night. I'll talk to you about it in just a minute. But, if you're here watching this on a Tuesday in the middle of the afternoon and you're watching Tuesday Talks, right? Well, typically, what are we talking about? We're talking about real estate. We're talking about real estate investing. We're talking about some of the things that are going on in the real estate space. And we're talking about if you guys have questions, if you have things that you're trying to sort through and want to jump in and post your question, I'm more than happy to try to address that today. But the whole idea of Tuesday Talks is really just to be able to stay in touch, to check in on a weekly basis and just, get the help that we need. Sometimes it's just the fact that somebody else is out there kind of grinding and going through the same exact hustle that you're going through that makes it to where it's like, this is, I can keep doing this, right? So I see Monica here is jumping in. Monica is watching. She says, good afternoon. Josh says my audio is good now. If you guys can hear me just fine, then maybe give me a 1 in the chat. I just want to make sure before we jump into this. Give me a 1 in the chat so I know that you guys can hear me okay. And appreciate any feedback I can get. All right, Monica's got a 1. That must be, we're good there. Monica, just kind of curious, where are you watching from, Monica? I know you're over on the east side of Portland, but I know you're also out of state sometimes, so I'd be curious to know where you're watching from. I see Tiffany's on here today. Tiffany, I don't know that we've seen you before, so thanks for joining us today. Always nice to have new folks. Appreciate you jumping on here. And then, guys, if you're here watching for the first time, feel free to ask any questions that you want to. Tuesday Talks is somewhat of an informal thing we do every week. We try to do this live every week, Tuesday at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And what I want to talk about today, as we kind of get underway today. By the way, we'll just do this for 30, 40 minutes. So if you guys have some questions, feel free to post it in the comments so that I can address that. But what I want to talk about today is the big question mark that's kind of hanging over everyone's head right now is what's going to happen with the economy, right? There's a lot of questions about, interest rates. There's a lot of questions about the economy. I have some personal theories about what is going on right now, and I'm not by any means an expert, okay? But I do have some theories, and I have some things that I've actually noticed as a trend. I'm getting old enough now where I can start noticing some trends, and I have some things that I've kind of I'm speculating on. But I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts. Maybe post it in the comments. What do you think about the economy? Are we going to continue to go downhill, or are we getting ready to break out? And is it going to be, happy days are here again? Why is this even a question? Because for us as real estate investors, obviously on the back end of our flips, on the back end of our refinances, we have to factor in what's going on with the interest rates because it affects the monthly payment. It affects the ability to refinance. It affects the ability for an end buyer, a retail buyer, to purchase our product that we put out on the market. I know there's several people in the PDX REI group, which, by the way, guys, this is awesome. I don't know if you guys know it or not, but in the PDX REI group, the Facebook community, the monthly meetups, we have some people that are actually out there just killing it in the flipping space. There's some people that are actively flipping. They've always got 2 or 3 flips. I'm really looking forward to hearing from Caitlin Beals. She's working on her first flip right now. Super excited about hearing from her on Thursday night. But just a little side note, I want to make sure you guys know that we have people that are actually doing like real estate investing transactions every single month in our group, in our local community here. And I love the fact that some of you are actually being active in the Facebook group. You're actually making posts. You're telling us kind of what you're working on. You're asking for contractors. You're asking for vendors. Because this is exactly what the PDX REI group, this is exactly what the TV REI group is for. It's a kind of a one-stop shop, a resource for you guys to come together and be able to get the help that you need to keep going. But as we were talking about a few minutes ago, what happens on the back end of our projects is we have a product, right? The product is typically the house, the real estate that we are going to either a lot of people are going to flip it, they're going to sell it, make that transactional money, get their investment back, pay off their lender, and then have their profit, right? Potential profit. It's a lot of work, but it's definitely well worth it when you get paid, right? So, but the big question for that type of a product when you take it to market is number one, what can you afford to sell it for, right? What's the ARV? What's the after repair value? But also, can the retail buyer, can that end buyer actually afford to buy our product, right? How can they afford to buy it? Well, the typical buyer is using some kind of traditional loan vehicle to purchase our product, right? So this question of the economy, it's not something that we can just completely dismiss, at least not in the sense of how we factor in what we're doing with our deals right now. Because remember, what you're doing with a deal today, you're going to know the outcome of that, or the end of that 3 or 4 or 5, 6 months down the road when your property goes back on market. Does that make sense? So if you guys understand that, then you totally understand why it's important to pay attention to the economy. Let's see here. Monica, I'm looking at the chats. By the way, guys, I love looking at your comments. So if you guys have a question or a comment, please go ahead and post it. Monica says, I heard of the possibility that a bonus appreciation is going to be extended. I have not heard that, Monica, but I would not be surprised if something like that happens. Absolutely would not be surprised at all, and especially with all the different things that are happening right now with this administration and some of the things they're trying to do to, to help. And obviously, some people don't agree with that. But if you look at, I think most politicians, especially in those offices, they typically are doing things that they believe is going to help, the economy, help their constituents. Whether that's actually true or not is debatable, right? But I think most people are fairly altruistic in their motives, although their methods may be questionable, right? So, so Monica says, I think what does she say here? Oops, I don't know what, I just posted something there. I don't want that. Sorry about that, guys. By the way, if you want to use, if you guys want to use StreamYard, you can use my link there and get a discount. I don't know how that got on there, but Monica says she thinks there's valleys and mountain peaks in the economy. Absolutely. I guess I'm just asking you guys, are we coming out of a valley getting ready to hit the mountain peak of the economy, or are we coming off a mountain, or maybe we're coming at the end of a valley and there's a deeper level of the valley below? I don't know. I'd love to hear what you guys had to say. Josh says we're entering the golden age soon. Okay. All right, Josh. I'd kind of like to know if you have some backing on that. I wonder about that too, to be honest. I wonder if there's going to be something rolled out that is maybe even unprecedented. Certainly wouldn't be a surprise with the current administration, right? To do something that's kind of shocking and something that's like, wow, I can't believe that they're doing that. But think about this, if the economy continues to decline, well, that's certainly not a good look for the current administration, for this incoming administration. So you have to understand there's got to be an awareness of that. There's got to be some kind of like, hey, we got to do something to boost this economy. Are tariffs going to help? That's debatable, right? If we actually could get the Fed to cut interest rates, how much of a cut would have to happen for it to affect our end buyers for our products? Remember, that's what it always comes back to for us. Politics aside, what comes back to for us is we have a product, whether it's a finished flip on the back end, or whether it's a refinance to recoup our investment and to pay back our lender. Refinance traditionally is how we would look at that. I think it's kind of irresponsible to just pretend like it doesn't matter, because you might take that position today and then find out 3 to 6 months from now that it actually does matter. Why am I even talking about this today? What can we do about the economy? Well, I don't know that we can personally do anything about the economy, but we can be very careful and very cautious about what it is that we pick up these days, right? Does that make sense? So you see what I'm saying, right? Monica says here, I think if we prepare when there is a recession to help us go through those valleys, for example, I have long-term rentals that somewhat helps me get through the valleys. Thank you, Monica. I actually want to address this real quickly. Guys, when you have long-term rentals, I'm really curious. Number one, I'd like to know if you have, Monica, maybe you can comment on this, but if you guys are watching right now and any of you have long-term rentals, I'd like to hear this. How much actual cash flow are you guys getting from your long-term rentals right now? Now, maybe you don't want to share it in the comments, but if you feel comfortable with it, I love to know from you guys how much long-term cash flow, like long-term rental cash flow, are you actually seeing on a month-to-month basis? Meaning this, I think sometimes in the real estate world investing space, people have this idea, I want to have, rentals. I want to own rentals. I want to own a portfolio. And unfortunately for most people, they find out too late that owning a rental, particularly a long-term rental, is not a good vehicle. Typically, I could be completely talking to somebody who you are the exception. But typically speaking, long-term rentals are not a good choice for producing cash, right? Long-term rentals are good for what? I'd love to know if you guys can. Again, if you're able to, post it in the comments, because I like this to be interactive, right? I like to see you guys' comments, and I like to be able to pull it up on the screen, share it with everybody. But long-term rentals are not traditionally a good vehicle for cash flow. They're a good vehicle. They're a good method or a good mechanism to use for, absolutely, Tess has got it right here, appreciation and tax write-offs. So why is it that the wealthy own real estate? The wealthy own real estate because of the fact that they can actually take that money and park it somewhere, and then they can get appreciation And just like Tess said, Carlos here says appreciation and tax discounts. Exactly. So long-term rentals are not a good model for producing monthly cash flow. If you are wanting to produce something that's like, I want a big chunk of cash because I want to own this rental property. Guys, you have to be strategic about what it is you're doing in the real estate space. Okay, so the whole idea of these Tuesday talks is to have these talks, right? To have these conversations. Because some of you are just getting into real estate and you think that you want to own long-term rentals, but I can promise you this: if you've never owned long-term rentals, meaning long-term, meaning like your traditional 12-month contract renter that comes in, you're their landlord. If you've never owned a long-term rental and dealt with tenants and dealt with contracts and dealt with problems on the property, and then you have to actually, deal with those problem properties, problem tenants. If you never dealt with that, then you probably don't know the fact that 300, 500, let's just say you're even making $800 a month, that money can go away so fast with one, bad vacancy, right? With one bad tenant, with one major, like a water heater breaks and it leaks from the upstairs and gets in the downstairs, right? So when I'm talking about like as a model for monthly revenue to live off of, to maybe go do extra stuff, long-term rentals are not really traditionally a great model. Now, if you got a smoking hot deal on a property that is absolutely just it's paid off, or it has such a low interest rate that the monthly payments are so affordable, you can actually it's like a cash cow. I have my dad and mom, for example. My mom and dad own property in Fairbanks, Alaska, of all places. And in Fairbanks, Alaska, my dad bought property, 20 something years ago. It was the eyesore of the entire area. And he just rehabbed those units, one unit at a time. I believe he has 8 units up there, 2 fourplexes side by side. And he's rehabbed those and just turned them over. And he's just had renters in them for 20 years. They're paid for, right? They cash flow. And that's a good example of a property. But remember, he's got a total of 8 units side by side, right? So you got fourplex right next to each other. That's a lot different than like a single family home with one family or 2 or 3 tenants in it. You see what I'm saying? So you got to kind of put this all in mind. Let me look at the comments again here. Monica says, I currently have 2 bedrooms in a shared house for rent. Okay, so here's an ad. A single occupancy only, no pets, $850 a month. Furnished rooms with queen bed and Clackamas off 142nd between Sunnyside, in case you know of anyone. So there you go. You guys screenshot that. If you know somebody that could use a bedroom for rent in a shared house, get a hold of Monica. I want to see here what Anthony Golden has to say. Anthony, good to see you, bro. I hope that we see you on Thursday night. I'll talk, just kind of a little plug, you guys, if you can, please make it out to the Thursday night PDX REI group meetup. We do it Thursday night every single month right here in this very building. I'll just kind of do a quick scan in case you guys have never been here. We have an amazing facility that we're able to use, and I'd love to have you guys come out. I'd love to meet you if I haven't met you before, and if it's been a while, come out and say hello again. We'd like reconnect and see what we're up to. But Anthony says, James Dannard on the Bigger Pockets Real Estate podcast mentioned tariffs affect material costs. Absolutely. That's a huge thing to factor in, right? Already we're seeing people that are adding on the tariff cost is an expense on the materials that they're selling, products that they're selling. Long-term rental is exactly that. It's long-term. Cash flow is the ability to park that cash for a rainy day on a specific property, specifically on SFR. So single-family residence, Anthony nailed it. Now, cash flow on multifamily, like I was talking about with my mom and dad, they have those 2 plexes side by side. It makes more sense for the short term. So in other words, if you can acquire a multifamily property, right? Like the one I did in Hillsborough a couple years ago, where there was 12 units. It was a 12 plex. And in those 12 units, there's obviously tenants that move in and out, but that tenant moving in and out, that vacancy, that turnover, number one, it doesn't affect the bottom line as much, right? Because you have these other 10 to 11 units that are constantly rented out. So you might have 1 or 2 units that's, turning over from a couple times a year, but it's not like drastically tanking your monthly rental income, if that makes sense. So great comment there, Anthony. I hope we see you, bro. Let's see. Monica here says actual cash flow to taking into consideration property taxes, homeowners insurance, and the maintenance, which I've noticed can be difficult. What about bonus depreciation? I don't know much about the bonus depreciation right now, Monica, but I think that that's definitely something that's on the conversation table. I have seen enough about it to know that. Do you think commercial 4+ unit syndications? I'm not a big fan of syndications just because I like to be in control of where my money goes. So if my money goes into something, I want to be able to pull it out. I want to be able to leverage that. I want to be able to control the property. A lot of people, they're more passive on their investing model. So they just want to be able to park their money and they want to know it's going to get a guaranteed rate of return. Whatever guarantee can be offered, of course, these days is questionable, but say they're going to make sure they get an absolute guarantee of 6% or 6.5% or 7%. Syndications are a great model for that. I just don't personally do syndications myself because number one, the cash that I have, I want to be able to deploy it, get it back and get it back in hand again with 10, 12, 15% interest on top of it. So flips, I think personally flips are better. But remember with flips, it's super, super important to remember what is the number one thing to remember with a flip is you have to pick the property up at the right price. Okay, you cannot afford, especially in today's economy, especially in where we don't know where the economy is going to be in 3 to 6 months. You cannot afford to buy something speculating right now and hoping that you're just going to, that the price is even going to stay the same. We don't know what the prices are going to do from now to the next 6 months. We don't know what the prices are going to do from now for another year. And so you have to be very careful about what you do in that case, because it might be that you pick up what seems like a really good deal today, but if the economy continues to kind of get wobbly and wonky, which we're seeing signs that it's not necessarily it's not rallying, it's not coming back right now. In fact, it's probably going to take something pretty major to bring it back into where people are comfortable, and obviously if people are feeling confident about the market, then they're going to invest and they're going to let go of some of that money, right? What happens when people are not confident, when people are a little bit like, I'm not sure, what do? They tend to pull their money back. That's not necessarily always the best thing to do. I'm just saying that's what tends to happen. So you have to factor that in. And so long-term properties, really, really good long-term rentals are really good for parking your money. And like Anthony said, having that money be there long-term. Carlos says, I'm selling my fourplex in Milwaukee, got into a bad situation, can't find a partner to help refinance right now. Hey, if anybody knows of a way to either one, help Carlos refinance, or two, I'm sure he'd probably make you a pretty good deal on a fourplex in Milwaukee, reach out to Carlos. Carlos has been to our PDX REI group meetup before. He's spoken out there. And so if you guys know somebody that is looking for a fourplex in Milwaukee, check out Carlos, and he's probably got details that he could tell you offline. I don't have him putting too much stuff here, but if you guys can help him either get into flipping it, or let's see here, Sherry Moore says, Carlos, let's chat. Hey, there you go. It sounds like you might have your buyer there. Just don't forget to where you guys found this deal. No, that's great. That's what we love about the PDX REI group, is we're people that are working together to try to help elevate everybody, right? We want to see you guys win. Okay. Oh, look at this. You might have a bidding war going on. Monica says, I'll DM you, Carlos. So good on you for being here today. You guys, if you have deals, if you have questions, post them in the comments. I'm putting these things up here because I want you guys to be a part of this program. Every Tuesday, we do Tuesday Talks, and every third Thursday, let me just pause for a minute and say every third Thursday, we have our PDX REI group in-person meetup. So this is where we meet in person here at this community, at this facility. It's fantastic. We have a great time. We have comfortable seating. I'm going to feed you guys. We have a really good time. This month in particular, I've asked everybody that was at the Squad Up Summit. So if you guys were at Squad Up Summit, then you guys will have an opportunity to come out and speak. And if you guys were not at Squad Up Summit, you're going to have an opportunity to hear from the attendees that are part of our local community. They're going to give feedback on what it is that they got. We heard from Stacy Allison. We heard from of course, Pace Morby and Jamil Danji. Jamil had a really great session on co-living, which I had some big takeaways from. I'm actually implementing co-living into some of my current properties, so I'm excited about that. We heard from David Goggins. We for those of us that are in Owners Club, I'm sure you'll probably hear from like Robert Harden, from Michael Kim, from a couple of others. I think you guys are going to enjoy hearing about what Jordan Peterson brought to the group. We actually there it's kind of a small group session with Jordan Peterson, spoke to the Owners Club group. So I have some takeaways from that. I got a ton of stuff written in my notebooks. But this Thursday, so Thursday night, 6 p.m., and we typically go to like 8:30. You don't have to stay. You can come and stay as long as you want to, but that's the Thursday night PDX REI group meetup. And maybe Josh Hayes, if he doesn't mind. Josh, if you're on here listening, could you go ahead and post in the comments the link so people can get on there and join if they could see the event for the PDX REI group coming up. Okay, Josh says here, he says, I elaborate a little on what I meant above. I think it's more people such as construction workers will be using the tariffs as an excuse to charge more. Yeah, well, and they're going to have to, right? But maybe charge more than they're actually needing to charge because of them. But either way, it's something to think about. Absolutely correct. Yeah, so you have to factor that in. Construction workers are typically, and I want to be careful about this because I don't want to be disparaging, right? But construction workers are typically not savvy enough to be thinking, I'm going to charge a whole bunch more because of these tariffs. I think what a lot of times is more reactive. It's like, okay, I went down to Home Depot last week and a 4x8 sheet of 7/16 T111, was $27 and today it's $32, right? So I'm just going to mark that up and it's going to be passed on to my customer. Now, if you already gave the bid, you can't go back and change that. Too bad, you should have bought the material whenever you got the check. But if you're charging for time and materials as you go, or if you're doing a bid for a future product, then it would be crazy as a construction worker not to mark up your prices because we don't know what's going to happen, right? And you can put a contingency in there that, it's not to exceed this amount. But even that is a little bit risky because honestly, a lot of us, we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know where the market's going to go. Monica here, she's got the link. You guys screenshot that. And then, okay, here comes Josh too. He's got the, looks like the full link. So you guys screenshot that one. I don't know which one is which. It looks like they're both on there, but you guys screenshot that and make sure that you're registered for the PDX REI group meetup. By the way, who's coming? Who's for sure coming? If you guys are for sure coming, say me. Post me in the comments. I'd like to see who's for sure coming to the PDX REI group meetup. Post me in the comments. I'd like to see that. And you guys plan on being there. Josh says me. Perfect, Josh. Thank you. Looking forward to having you back. Josh was at Squad Up Summit with us down there at Dallas, Texas. We were able to squeeze him in. John George is on here today. Awesome, John. Good to see you, man. John George says me. Good to see you. Hopefully we'll have Monica come out. Although I think she said something earlier about having an Easter choir rehearsal or something to that effect. So she might not be able to come. Josh says, Squad Up Summit was awesome. Absolutely looking forward to hearing some of Josh's thoughts. Guys, I'll be sharing some of my insight. I've got a ton of great notes from the different speakers. My major takeaways, I'll be sharing that. We're going to have Robert Harden, Michael Kim. We've got some other folks from the PDX REI group, locals that you guys may or may not even know are part of the Sub2 community, Gator community. They were at Squad Up Summit. I know that Cheryl is going to be here with us. We just got some really good, I think Caitlin Beals is going to be with us, and she's also going to be giving an update about her current flip. I think she's nicknamed it the Little Nasty. So we'll be getting to hear from her and find out what's going on with her. But guys, what are you working on? What kind of questions do you have? Where are you at in your real estate journey right now? That's really what these are for. We're here to talk about what are your thoughts, right? Where are you struggling? Are you struggling right now with financing? Are you struggling with finding good leads? Are you struggling with just mindset stuff? You kind of feel like I don't know even what to do next. I'd love to have you guys kind of jump in here. Sherry says that she's bringing I will bring cake if I come. Thursday's her birthday. All right. Well, Sherry, you got to come out, because how else are we going to celebrate your birthday if you don't come out? You know what I'm saying? So please do come out, and let's have some fun. Bring some birthday cake. Have you heard any updates when we get the recording? I saw a VIP and get a copy. I have not seen a copy of any updates for Squat Up Summit. They usually don't release that for a couple of months just because it's a lot of post-production work. But yeah, anybody that was part of VIP for Squat Up is going to get all the recordings, so that's exciting. Monica says, yeah, I can't come. I have choir practice. Well, we'll let it slide this time, Monica. So guys, if you have questions today, if you have comments about any things I've been talking about, I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to also know this. What is your strategy for financing your next deal? So in other words, if a perfect deal came down your way, like if it was like an awesome deal, do you guys have a plan in place for getting the financing to close those deals? I personally, in my business, I've been working with different lenders for so long that sometimes I forget that getting started, it was almost by accident that I found the lender that I worked with. And I forget that sometimes people are trying to get started and they don't really know what it is that to do if they have, like, so here's tell me if this describes you. You know you have you should make a call, or you know you should go do that driving for dollars, or you know you should skip trace, but you're subconsciously refusing to do what you know you should do because of the fact that you think that you don't know what to do if they say yes. Like, see, a lot of times we're worried about people saying no, but what about those fears of when someone says yes? Can I just tell you guys that right now, there are more people saying yes to my offers than I've seen in a long, long time. Is that crazy? Or is that like, yeah, I can see it too. What are your thoughts? Because I've got people saying yes to offers that I personally was almost embarrassed to make. You know what I mean? Like on the flip side, especially with flips right now, I can't believe some of the things that people are saying yes to. Why? Because people are needing cash. People are they're hurting. The economy has put a squeeze on people, and so some people are actually saying yes to things that just a year or so, or 2 years ago, especially, excuse me, they would not have said yes to. They would have laughed you out of the room, right? So sometimes the fear of someone saying yes is greater than the fear of someone saying no. Why is that? Because sometimes we get this idea that if someone says yes, I'm not going to know what to do, and then so I don't want to deal with that. Does that make sense? You guys, if that's you, if you have ever had that fear of what happens if they say yes, what happens if what do I do next if they do want to proceed? You know, that's a legitimate question that a lot of people have. So you guys, let me know if you have ever struggled with that. If Josh says call John if they say yes, absolutely correct. I would love to hear from any of you guys if you have a buyer or a seller that actually wants to get an offer. I'm working with actually Tyler right now. Tyler, I don't know if he's still on here, but I'm working with Tyler, and he actually is. Hold on one second. Okay, just had to check my phone there. Tyler has a pretty good lead on a property that is fairly unique. It'd be a good multifamily type of property, not multifamily in the classic traditional sense as far as zoning, but multifamily in the sense that you can put multiple people in this. It'd be an amazing, phenomenal pad split type of house, co-living. If you guys want to know more about that, you can reach out to Tyler or myself. But I have a couple of people that are looking into it. They're running all the numbers right now. But the point is this: sometimes if people say yes, then you have to figure out what to do next, right? So you guys do not get stuck. Look at this. Sherry says, I'm here to help with funding your REI dreams. That's absolutely correct. Sherry, I'm curious, just want to know this. Do you have financing available for the entire purchase, or are you doing financing primarily for earnest money? Maybe you can jump on here and if they say yes, call John. That's right. I appreciate that. Even if they don't say yes, like if they say no or maybe, you guys feel free to shoot me a text. I'd be happy to jump on and help out. Let's see here. Monica says, I have a question regarding IUL. to use to park money to take out for real estate purposes, universal life insurance. Okay, Monica, that sounds like a great question for your agent. So you probably have a broker or an agent set that up for you. I would absolutely, again, speaking from personal experience, I would absolutely make sure that you run everything through that company or that broker that you used, because you want to be really careful about pulling that out. You don't want to sabotage yourself. So I don't know the exact details of how yours was set up. But if you have money in universal life insurance and you want to use it for one of your projects, that's totally doable. That's what the feature, one of the main features of those products is. But definitely talk to your agent about that, because it can get a little bit goofy. Let's see here. Josh says, I've been getting over my cold call fears, been doing a bunch of agent outreach. Perfect, Josh. Awesome, man. Good for you. And that is a hard thing to do, right? It's really difficult to actually like get up the nerves to call. I have a friend of mine here in town with me today. He's traveling with me, and we looked at some properties in the northeast, to be the northeast side of Portland. Some pretty cool properties that are on a foreclosure list, and so we just did some calling there. Let's see here. We got a couple of people. Sherry says, I work with private money and hard money lenders. Okay. So Sherry, I really hope that we get to see you on your birthday, okay, on Thursday night, because you need to introduce yourself again, and you need to make sure you get connected, and then ask people, what's the project you're working on that you need money with right now? Like, what can I fund for you today? Okay. Sherry, which by the way, if I don't know if I'm going to need it, but maybe you and I could talk about a $50,000 project that I need to get a house out of arrears. Okay, so I got a property that's in arrears right now from the previous owner. I need about $50K to get it out of arrears, and be happy to figure out what you and I can do, because I like to work with people in this group. Okay, I like to make sure that I'm working with people in the PDX REI group, so we actually are helping elevate each other. Josh says, thank you. Josh, good job, buddy. Okay, guys, we're coming up here on about 40 minutes in. I want to just give a quick little shout out to everybody that was at Squad Up Summit. If you guys were at Squad Up Summit and you're coming to the PDX REI group meetup, I thank you in advance for coming. I want you guys to be prepared to speak, talk about your main takeaway. What was your number one takeaway? And then what was something that surprised you? We're going to have everybody at the PDX REI group that's registered. We're going to be feeding you guys. We're going to be talking about what we learned. We're going to be talking about what we can do next together as a group. I've got some really cool ideas for next month's meetup. Little hint, okay? Next month's meetup may not be in a beautiful place like this. I think what we're going to do next month, so this is going to be the May PDX REI group meetup. I think what we're going to do is we're going to go on site to some current flips. If you guys saw, I made a post a couple months ago. I was like, hey, who's doing a flip right now? And so I've got a whole list of people who are actively doing flips in the Portland area. And I think what we're going to do is kind of do like a little tour of some of the flips. We're going to be talking to some of the active investors, talking about what kind of money they needed to get into the deal, how they found their deal, what are the surprises. So I've got some really cool stuff in mind for us for the next month's PDX REI group. So make sure you come to Thursday night to get all the details. And then if you are in the Treasure Valley area, so like Tess, and I know that Naveen is in there. So if you guys are in the Treasure Valley area, May 2nd, it's the first Friday of the month. We're going to be doing our first Treasure Valley REI group meetup in a long time, probably our first official one. We did a couple before, but it was kind of unofficially. We're going to start doing our regular monthly TV REI group, Treasure Valley Real Estate Investors group. So if any of you know anybody in the Treasure Valley, Boise area, please send them to the TV REI group. You guys can join that group yourself and see what kind of deals we have going on in there. But we're going to be starting to hold the Treasure Valley Real Estate Investors meetup once a month. It's probably going to be, right now we're shooting for the first Friday of every month. Coming up May 2nd is our first meetup at 6 p.m. Details to follow soon. Okay. Josh says this, got a question. If my sister and my grandma's on the loan, but they both are on the deed, how can she possibly substitute a sister? Long story as to why I tell you privately. Yeah, Josh, I think we talked about this a little bit in the past. That's definitely something that we can handle. I have to look at the paperwork and see how the thing is actually structured, because I have no idea how that's actually set up right now. So we have to look and see who's who and who's named what, so that we can actually get on there and get that figured out for you. Guys, I really, really am looking forward to seeing you. I'm so pumped. It might just be the good weather. It might just be being back in Portland right now, but there's so much that has happened already this year. There's so much that's going on in the market. And I want to just leave you with this thought. Typically speaking, volatility in the marketplace produces fantastic opportunities for people who are willing to take the risk and make a move when no one else is. What do I mean by that? I mean that there are multiple deals floating around out there right now, but because of the fact that people are nervous about the economy, people are nervous about what's going to happen, there's a lot of people that are pulling their money back, okay, which is understandable and probably even wise. But I'm telling you this for a reason. Do not be one of those people that misses out on a great deal just because you're not sure about what's going to happen with the economy. Can I just tell you this? The economy is going to come back. It may not come back the time we want it to. It may not be coming back with the administration or the method that we like, but the economy always comes back, okay? Now, I'm not talking about like if World War III happens and everybody drops nukes on each other. If that happens, then we're all like out there scourging for food, right? I'm talking about like in a normal, systematic type of thing. You look at the patterns, you look at the histories. About every 7-8 years, there's a major upset. There's resets, and the market is going to come back. I personally think that it's going to come back pretty strong, but I think it could get worse before it gets stronger. Does that make sense? Because I think it's going to get worse before it gets stronger, I think there's going to be some amazing deals coming up on the horizon. And you need to have, if you can, get things off your table, get those bad deals, get those kind of problem projects, get those pesky little things off of your plate, get them cleared out so that you can really focus, even if it means you have to take a loss in some areas so you can get that cash together and have it ready to deploy. Get ready for great deals. I think there's some really great deals coming. I think they're already starting to pop up. A little secret that people aren't talking about is that the number of defaults, okay, these are real estate defaults that are coming onto the market here. The number of actual defaults is comparable to the number of defaults that were showing up in 2007 and 2008. Okay, the reason why we're not hearing about a lot of this, the reason we haven't heard about it is because under the previous administration, it was better to keep that stuff hidden or to keep it kind of hush hush or to kind of, just keep it from actually going into full on default because it was a bad reflection of the administration. Okay. This is not, me, getting political. This is just me saying how it is. So now you have a new administration. Now some of these numbers are actually starting to come out, and guys, it's not looking good. Okay, so what's going to happen? The general public, right? The typical average investor, they're going to freak out because the economy is not good. It's not stable. They're going to see ups and downs with NASDAQ and all the SEQs and all that stuff, right? And so people are going to pull their money back, which means those of you that have capital and are able to deploy it, you should be looking to scoop up some really, really, really good deals. I would just say this: be careful. Make sure that you're picking up an actual deal and not a dud, right? And then make sure that you're padding your offer, right? Insulate yourself from maybe having to hold on to that property a little longer than you would have wanted to if it was just a typical flip, right? So just be careful. There was over 220 notice of defaults for March in Oregon's list, Carlos says. That's absolutely correct. Carlos is absolutely correct, guys. There's a massive number of defaults that are coming online. And you guys need to be aware of it. You need to be advised that there's some, we can help people, right? But we don't have enough money to go around to take care of everybody. So make sure that you're making good offers with sellers who appreciate what you're doing, who are wanting to work with you, who are not getting greedy or not thinking pie in the sky. Don't make a deal happen. Just go find the deal that is happening. Okay. So that's my advice. I hope to see you guys on Thursday night. I love you guys, appreciate you, and I'm looking forward to seeing you Thursday night. Don't forget to register, and if we could, go ahead and post that link one more time. I want to see you guys out there, but go to the PDX REI group, go to the events tab at the top, and you'll see all the details there. We absolutely need to be continuing to meet together, to encourage each other, to do deals together. And I'm looking forward to finding somebody at Thursday night's PDX REI group meetup that I can do a deal with, whether it's with finances, whether it's with a flip, whether it's with helping you with the contract. We're here to help each other out. Okay, guys? We'll talk to you soon. God bless you guys.